Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good week and this is Kimberly here with the Twin Flame family. Thank you for the new subscribers. We hit the 2,000 mark this week. This was also the 1-year anniversary of the YouTube channel. And just again, thank you so much to everyone who's just joining. And I'm so glad to get your notes and to work with you also in private session. And if anyone is looking to get further clarity in a private session with me, either in a reading or soul coaching session, you can do so by visiting thetwinflamefamily.com. It's thetwinflamefamily.com. And just click on schedule a session and all the services are there. And on the group services tab, you can sign up for the June 6th Wounded Warrior to Divine Feminine Goddess workshop. So, and that's filling up fast. I think there's only 4 or 5 spots left. So, all right. So I wanted to get you the second round of questions and answers for the Q&A that I had posted last week. So you guys have done a great job sending me questions. I answered the first group of them in a video last week, and now I'm answering the next group of questions in this video. Also last week or a few days ago, I held a Facebook Live, and that was really great. And thank you for everyone who chimed in and commented and asked questions. I want to try to start holding those monthly in addition to the free support group calls. So you'll have a couple of free resources from me monthly. There'll be the Facebook Live sessions and then a free support group call, which I haven't announced the June dates yet, but I will shortly. Okay. So let's move on to the questions. So first question, and by the way, I don't have any prepared answers for you whatsoever. I've looked at the questions. I don't have anything set for you. I'm just going to speak off the cuff and kind of just give you my take on things, and hopefully that will be helpful to you. And remember that many of the questions that people write in are representative of what's happening in the collective, so these may affect you somehow or be helpful for you. So Tina wrote me, and she gave me some background on her journey, and she's, definitely reaching a deeper ascension and awakening on her personal journey. And what she was asking is, her twin flame is married, and she says when she stops contact, he reaches out. So it's always this push, pull, hot, cold. They're on again, off again. There's contact, there's no contact. And so she asked, she understands that removing myself and cutting, she says, I understand removing myself and cutting contact is creating tension and hence energy blocks. She said, I don't believe I would ever go with zero contact, but certainly minimize and reply politely whenever he initiates contact while protecting myself. She said, could you quickly clarify or explain this fine line and what it does? Do I remain unconditional, loving, and present? Or do I remove myself? It explained to him if and when he asks. But then, isn't that creating blocks in energy and ultimately blocking the reunion? Oh, it's such a touchy thing. And the dynamics of this are really difficult to navigate. But I'm going to give you my pointers and a short answer. So, one, you got to get in line with your boundaries, okay? And if this is starting to feel yucky, like the push-pull, that's probably feeling yucky to you, okay? You're like, is this guy in? Is he out? Are we going to have communication or are we not? He's going to show up. It's going to be hot. Then it'll be cold. And that can be like a roller coaster of emotions. Even when you love someone totally unconditionally, that's not how you want to be treated. So you do have to set the boundaries and do so, however, from a higher place. So that means go back to the drawing board, kind of map out what your boundaries are, what your values are. And maybe it's presented more like when you're ready to have like a more consistent contact with me, I gladly will open the door for the time being. I'd like to try to keep limited contact, but you don't always even have to say it. Sometimes it's just an energetic shift. So a lot of times with twin flames, it's like you're saying, I don't want him to contact me because you don't like that push-pull type of war thing. But behind that, it's like, oh, but I really want to hear from him. So until you get your commitment behind it energetically, it's not going to shift. And a lot of times you don't have to make a declaration to get your boundary clear. You just have to make an energetic shift. So I also believe, and I know from my own experience in the twin flame process, that you move towards what feels good. So if this is feeling yucky, go towards what feels good. If that means less contact, well, then you choose how you reply and when you reply. That ball's still in your court. And you can set the boundary there very, very easily, especially because you'll get to a place where if you're practicing 5D, the soul level type communication, if you're practicing being in the 5D and understanding what that is and doing your 5D meditations and really trying to connect with your twin flame on the telepathic level, on the psychic level, in a dream state, through signs, synchronicities, that stuff is very uplifting, can be very uplifting. And because it's the two higher selves meeting and communicating, right? It's not all this muck and yuck and all this 3D stuff that gets very confusing. But so I guess to sum up that answer, I would say don't go against your boundaries. Move towards that which feels good for you. And a lot of times we don't have to declare boundaries. We just set them energetically. So really think about that. How do I set energetic boundaries? That means I'm going to get really okay with being in the 5D with my twin flame and not having as much communication. I don't expect the communication. I actually like it, better in the 5D. And so I'm going to limit my answers, but another piece of this is staying very authentic. You don't want someone to play the game with you, and you don't want to play an ego game either. And I think what you're asking, Tina, is you're asking about energetic blocks and resistance and all of that. Well, of course, what you resist persists. So if you're going to resist him, he's going to come on stronger. And we want to just articulate from our heart space. We want to articulate our truth. And like I said, there's probably a lot that you can do from an energetic level to set that boundary without needing to be harsh or, draw like a really harsh line in the sand. You can actually just set the example by the way you respond and by choosing to go into the 5D, maybe when he contacts you in the 3D. This will continue to feel like a game or like a tug of war for as long as you stay there and participate in it. So you do have to do something energetically to shift it. And this isn't about maneuvering your ego so that your ego gets stroked, or that his ego gets hurt. It's not about that. When we lift up into the higher perspective, it's really about walking in line with your own self-love, with your self-worth, your boundaries, and how you want to be treated. And no contact can certainly be very difficult, and that can be an unrealistic expectation also. So rather than saying that, for all of you out there, just say, I'm going to try to keep, if it feels yucky, the 3D communication, just say, I'm going to try to keep this as 5D as possible. I'm going to walk in line with what feels good to me. I'm going to set boundaries energetically, as well as through us speaking my authentic truth. And that's all you need to do, okay? That's all you need to do. So thank you so much, Tina, for writing in. I hope that that's helpful. Also, keeping the lines of energy open in that, like where you're saying, there's a boundary setting, where you're saying, let me know when you're ready to come back in on a more consistent basis, or when you can talk more openly, or when we can have more consistent contact. Like, I'll be ready for that. So I've got my Stella in the background. She's scratching at the door to get out. Sounds like nails on a chalkboard. So second question is from Mary Ann, and Mary Ann is asking, she and her twin are in physical separation. She knows that he needs to go through certain situations before he can truly be with her. But she asks, how do I, as I'm sure many of us, get over the fact that they are in a physical relationship with someone else, or that he is in a physical relationship with someone else? How do you get over the... Here comes Stella. She's getting playful. This is some cute energy here. Stella, you chiming into the video, honey? So the question is, so how do you get over the fact that your twin is having sex or being physical with someone else when you know that he or she is your twin? What do you think, Stella? Huh? Wait, do you have an answer? So that can be very hurtful, okay, especially when we fixate on it, okay? And I know that feeling because I've been in it myself. But usually that's coming up for a number of reasons. And I answered this in the Facebook Live call this week. And the reason is it's triggering something in you. It's a place of insecurity. It's something where you're saying, why is she with him and not me? Why does he like her? Why does she get to have that experience? Or maybe you're jealous of the karmic relationship, or maybe you're not feeling worthy enough as she. And we have to go back from there and recognize that this is a place for us to heal. Either you have past life karma with his karmic relationship, or it's probably both, and you have triggers that are coming up, coming in the form of insecurity, jealousy, anytime when you're not trusting in the timing. Because I think, Marianne, you said at the beginning, I know he needs to go through certain situations before he would be ready for me. I'm ready for this. And so do you, though. And this is something that takes a lot of work. And the work is in trusting that this is in alignment, trusting that he needs to be in this relationship, trusting that this is all in divine order, trusting that it is, this karmic relationship will actually bring you closer to a union. And so why are you torturing yourself with the details of them being intimate and physical? Well, there's something in you that needs to be healed on that level. And also, we can lift out of that by going into the 5D with our twin flame. Remember, twin flames have a sacred and amazing connection, and there is nothing that can touch that. Nothing. So just keep remembering that, remembering what you have with your twin flame at the soul level. And when we're doing the comparison thinking and the delving into our insecurities, let it flow through you and then push it out and go into the space of building your own self-worth, focusing on why those triggers are there and what that's bringing up on you, and trying to heal that from a deeper level. And trying to surrender, because the more you surrender, the less it's going to bother you. And I can promise you that you'll make peace with it in a new way. It's hard to explain what that is, but it's a place where you're like allowing this rather than trying to resist it. Rather than going, oh, I can't stand the thought of that. You just go, well, it's happening. I'm not going to torture myself. And this is in alignment. This is all supposed to be happening just like this. This is about your divine feminine power too. So staying in your confidence, staying in your self-assuredness, being in your power, and, trusting. Another question that I received was from Mina, I believe. She said, if I understand correctly, my twin flame and I are basically the two pieces of the same soul. She said, so when I meet some person that belongs to my soul family, someone who I can relate to as a soulmate, does my twin flame feel the same towards this person? Is this person my twin flame soulmate too? That's interesting. Twins can have some of the same soul family, but your soul family is karmic, and you are, so even though you were one soul split into two, divided into the different two polarities, you have incarnated in these lifetimes, many lifetimes, either as the masculine or the feminine. And through those experiences, because your earthly experience has been different than your twin flame, but all sort of leading to this, in those separate experiences, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, as you're clearing karma, in those instances, that's how you're connecting with your soul families. There's branches and tributaries and all of that. So, of course, the two individuated souls, because they've had different life experiences, they're going to have different soul family as well. Now, is it uncommon for soul, like you may meet someone and they may remind you of your twin flame, or you may have that same connection that you have with your twin. Or it could be possible that your twin flame and you would meet somebody and have a resonance. But you'll know that because you'll both feel it, and then you'll know, okay, this is my soul family. There's usually, with a soul family, with soulmates, with soul sisters, with soul brothers, it's always this feeling of familiarity, someone coming in just at the right time, comfort, support, kindred spirits, friendships. Sometimes it's more karmic stuff and to play out. But you can have the same soul family, but you also have different soul family. And it has nothing to do with that you were one soul. So if you have a soulmate, it's going to be your twin flame soulmate too. That has no bearing on it, in my understanding of it. I think Teal Swan did a video on this, and she explains what is soul family versus twin flames or something like that. I remember her talking about the branches and the tributaries and explaining this from a higher perspective. So you may want to watch that. Just Google Teal Swan or YouTube her name and something about like soul family, and I'm sure that video will come up. So last question. Suzanne also wrote me, and she said she's been told that her husband is her twin flame. And she said they have a very happy marriage and have always been very connected. But she still can relate to so much of what I say in like the weekly videos, right? Like with ups and downs and the whole waves that are kind of rippling through the collective. And she said, my question is, how do you know when you have achieved union with your twin flame? What does this really mean? Is this more like just being together and happy? Union is when there's, I would say one definition would be when there's no more ego running. And we refer to that a lot in the twin flame community with running and chasing and all of this. But when there's no more ego resistance, which enables a harmonious togetherness, right? To hold space together. It does not mean that you won't go through the ups and downs, that you won't have growing pains. But I believe that when there's no threat of the ego running and the abandonment and all of that, like twins can come together at that point, especially being healed to a certain point and being two individuated, healed beings. That constitutes the union that can be long-lasting forever. And so I guess you would have to just determine what that is for you, Suzanne, in your marriage, because it sounds like you are in union, but when there are still things to work on, or karmic lessons, or big soul healing, sometimes that's done through the mirroring within the union, okay? But there could be a point, at some point, where you break off and you have to separate for a little while to heal that stuff at a deeper level. Only you know, but I would say that union is more harmonious, and it's when the threat of the ego running is no longer in existence. It's the two committed, facing each other, facing the sacred mirror, and actually working on things. Doesn't mean that it's just always happy. It just means that the union has been achieved in the both looking in the sacred mirror as individuals, having come to a certain point in healing. And usually you'll have gone through a separation already of some sort. So I'm not sure if that was the case in your early, in the early part of your story with your husband, but those are my thoughts on what union is. I'm sure you can find other healers or readers who will have different takes on it, but as pertaining to this question, this is the best answer that I can give at this time. So I will be back tomorrow posting your weekly forecast for twin flames, and there's a lot still happening and a lot of shifts of energy happening right now. and some for the better. And so I want to talk about that in a whole nother segment. So I'll post the weekly reading tomorrow. And again, for those of you who want to check us out on Facebook, it's facebook.com/the Twin Flame Family, or go to the website to book a session, which is thetwinflamefamily.com. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.